Experimental research is a type of research that involves the manipulation of variables to establish cause and effect relationships. It is considered one of the most rigorous research methodologies because it allows researchers to control and manipulate variables in a controlled environment. By conducting experiments, researchers can isolate independent variables, those that are manipulated, and observe their effects on dependent variables, those that are measured. This method is widely used in natural sciences, psychology, medicine, and education to test hypotheses and evaluate the impact of specific interventions or treatments. Experimental research typically involves random assignment of participants to different groups to ensure the validity and reliability of the results. The primary purpose of experimental research is to determine whether changes in one variable, the independent variable, cause changes in another variable, the dependent variable. This type of research is essential for testing hypotheses about causal relationships. For example, an experiment might be conducted to test whether a new drug is effective in treating a particular condition, or whether a specific teaching method improves student performance. By manipulating the independent variable and measuring its effect on the dependent variable, experimental research can provide strong evidence of causality. The ability to control other variables that may affect the outcome, also known as extraneous variables, further enhances the credibility of the results. Experimental research is characterized by its use of controlled environments, random assignment, and manipulation of variables. In a typical experimental design, participants are randomly assigned to different groups, such as an experimental group, which receives the treatment or intervention, and a control group, which does not. Random assignment helps ensure that the groups are comparable at the start of the experiment, reducing the likelihood of bias. The researcher then manipulates the independent variable and observes its effect on the dependent variable, while controlling for other factors that could influence the results. Experimental research often includes a pre-test and post-test to measure changes in the dependent variable before and after the intervention. Experimental research is crucial for advancing knowledge and understanding in various fields, as it provides the most reliable evidence for cause and effect relationships. This methodology allows researchers to identify whether a particular intervention or treatment produces the desired outcome, which is especially important in fields like medicine and psychology. For instance, clinical trials use experimental research to test the safety and efficacy of new medications or therapies. In education, experimental research helps to identify the most effective teaching strategies or educational interventions. The rigorous control and manipulation of variables make experimental research an invaluable tool for drawing clear, evidence-based conclusions about causal relationships. Despite its strengths, experimental research has several challenges and limitations. One of the primary challenges is the difficulty in replicating real-world conditions in a controlled laboratory environment. While experiments allow for tight control over variables, the artificial nature of the setting can sometimes limit the generalizability of the findings to real-world situations. Another limitation is ethical considerations, especially in experiments involving human participants. Some interventions or treatments may not be ethically feasible to test experimentally, such as exposing individuals to harmful conditions or withholding a known treatment. Furthermore, experimental research requires careful design and significant resources, making it time-consuming and expensive to conduct. Despite these challenges, experimental research remains a cornerstone of scientific inquiry due to its ability to establish causality with high confidence. In conclusion, experimental research is a powerful methodology used to investigate cause and effect relationships by manipulating variables in a controlled environment. Its purpose is to test hypotheses and determine whether changes in one variable lead to changes in another. The rigorous design of experimental studies, including random assignment and control over extraneous variables, provides reliable evidence for understanding causal links. Although experimental research faces challenges in terms of ecological validity and ethical constraints, its ability to provide strong evidence for causal relationships makes it an essential tool in many fields of study.